Electricast.
Did you know if your windows are bare, indoor temperatures can go up 20 degrees? Turn the temperature down with Blinds.com and get up to 50% off custom window treatments like solar roller shades and more during the Memorial Day mega sale. Whether you want to DIY it or have a pro handle everything, we've got you. Free samples, real design experts, and zero pressure. Just help when you need it. This is your last chance to shop up to 50% off site-wide during the Memorial Day mega sale at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.
All new drinks are now at McDonald's. With refreshers like the Strawberry Watermelon Refresher and the Mango Pineapple Refresher with popping boba. To crafted sodas like the Sprite Berry Blast with berry flavors and cold foam. Who knew ice cold drinks could be so fire? Try them all now at McDonald's.
Refreshers contain caffeine. Copyright 2026, The Coca-Cola Company. Sprite is a registered trademark of The Coca-Cola Company.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
Now this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you. I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or whatever movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host Iris and I'm here with my older brother.
Wesley! I can't do it.
That was your Sean Penn?
Oh!
Today we're talking a movie from, when is it?
1982?
Written by Cameron Crowe. And I was so happy to see, directed by Amy Heckerling, the classic Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Man, this is our inaugural episode of Cameron Crowe Month. Not, in this case, not even directed by Cameron Crowe. So we talked a while ago about Project Hail Mary. And Iris is a producer who reads like Reese Witherspoon, right?
Right.
And you read that book. So in covering Fast Times at Ridgemont High, you started with Cameron Crowe's book of the same name, right?
I didn't realize that it was based on his book.
Neither did I. It's been like 44 years, dude.
I would love to read Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I'm sure it's at the Los Angeles Public Library, where I love to get all my material.
Well, why, though, had we never heard of it?
I don't know. Maybe because this came out 2 years after I was born and, 6 years before I was reading?
Amy Heckerling, director, not writer of this film, finger on the pulse across multiple decades.
So wild. There was like a 1, 2, 3 punch at the top. I was like, based on his book. And then I was like, Judge Reinhold. And then I was like, Amy Heckerling of CLUELESS fame. Talk about the seminal movie for my generation. She did this for multiple generations, defining their childhood, their adolescence, their coming of age.
Yep.
For multiple generations. Wow.
So your quiz, how does Fast Times at Ridgemont High directly apply? What lasting impression did Fast Times at Ridgemont High have on a recent property?
Sean Penn drew inspiration from his original character for One Battle After Another.
You mean 3-time Oscar winner Sean Penn?
He didn't even need to show up to collect his Oscar.
No, he was off doing humanitarian work or something. The mall scene, the mall as the end-all be-all social hub for kids. The mall in the 1980s.
That was the fourth punch. The mall from Stranger Things?
Yep. The Sherman Oaks Mall. And it really is. It just seems like that's the place to go. That's the place to be, the place to work.
It looked so much like it.
Directly taken from the 80s, from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Doesn't the Stacy and Rat love story make Fast Times at Ridgemont High, like Jerry Maguire, a happy crappy love story?
Are you suggesting that Cameron Crowe is subject to this kind of people bone other people and then bone each other, and that's supposed to serve as a love story arc?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying it might not be coincidence.
Well, I mean, Fast Times at Ridgemont High had a budget of $5 million. Not a lot of studio support. Amy Heckerling was fighting the whole time to get stuff made. She had to make concessions. It originally got like an X rating or whatever the equivalent was at the time.
Whoa.
It was full frame Damone Dong. And the shot that you see is a cropped shot of him getting undressed in Stacy's
A crotch
pool house.
shot?
Cropped shot of him getting undressed in Stacy's pool house. It was really dark and it made executives uncomfortable. How is that happy crappy?
Well, the Damone Stacy love story is the crappiest of all. I was so confused as to how to feel about that character. I mean, obviously, I didn't like him, but were we supposed to like him at the end?
Is Damone a villain? When Stacy comes at him, he's like, Rat really likes you. And he puts his friend forward, and she's like, oh, that's great. He's a nice guy and all, George McFly style. But I think I like you. And she pieces out, lures him into the pool house or whatever. And look, it's not like she seduces him. He's Damone, and he really wants to be a cool guy. But at the end, he does dumb kid stuff and sincerely apologizes. And at that point,
To Rat?
Rat is in a place
Because
where
he doesn't
can accept
apologize to Stacy.
He doesn't, and you can't deny that leaving her in the wind to go to the abortion clinic is a crappy thing to do. But aren't they all kind of crappy? Aren't they all stupid kids? Is Damone is he the villain of this movie? That's harder to say. I chalked it up to, I'm not fond of his stupid face. Like, I think he has a dumb Damone face.
No, come on. He's got a great 80s face.
80s hateable
And he's
face.
got great 80s hair, and he's got the great 80s members only jacket. Okay, let's break it down. Damone is not a genuine friend to Rat. He consistently one-ups him, like, I am better than you. It's not an equal friendship, and yet Rat is probably Damone's only friend. He doesn't seem like he gets picked on, but he's not the cool guy that he says he is to Rat. So he's not a great friend to Rat to begin with.
Nope.
He does put Rat forward with Stacy, but then, and you can see, I guess the only hint of redemption is that he at least thought twice about going into the pool shed with Stacy. I think that's what he means when he's like, not great iced tea. Like he's really thinking about, I should not be doing this, but whatever, it's hormones or dumb kid logic or whatever, he more than willingly goes. And then we see that it's all like persona, projected confidence and stuff like that. And that he doesn't have all the experience with women that he purports to have. Then he is a jerk to her when she tells him the news. He doesn't show up for the big day, neither financially nor in person. He doesn't apologize to her. And then he apologized to Rat, and we're supposed to be like, oh, yeah, they should be friends again?
You're looking to Rat like, okay, dude, the ball's in your court. What are you going to do? And he smiles and shakes his hand. And that's the coda. That's the end for their relationship in this movie, right? So that is, I think, how we're supposed to feel. But there are signs there for how, like signposts for whether or not we want to follow him on this road. It's pretty clearly laid out. When she confronts him directly, he says, well, we got to take care of it. And if you're a lady not in that mind space, you'd be like, how dare you suggest that I get an abortion? But she is like, yeah, I already have it planned. So she was letting him know and maybe letting him off the hook in that way, where he's like, I suppose you want me to pay for it. That's his defensive posture as a kid, but he would have done it. And she's like, half okay. And then he proceeds to call everybody who owes him money and tries to work it out. When he can't, then he flips out and disappears. He ghosts her. And he's working with his dad in the garage. And then later, we see him leaving the apartment when he goes downstairs and sees that Phoebe Cates has messed with his car. He's in an upstairs Karate Kid style apartment. You're not working in any garage, but Damone did stuff. He took steps. I think he was just a kid when it came down to it, and all the posturing was a defense mechanism for thinking he was more of a cool guy than he was, which kind of worked out. I once compiled a list of movie lessons, which you may recall, and none of Damone's tips were on there. Not Led Zeppelin 4. But I have used that in the past, where the idea, like the mall, he's, wherever you are, act like that's the place to be. Isn't this great?
I definitely turned to Brian in that moment and was like, you taking notes?
What I'm saying is there was premeditation in the script. Mike Damone wasn't a villain. He was just a kid who put himself in a situation that he failed to appropriately address.
And maybe that's the point of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I mean, not the point. The point of this movie is not to impart wisdom or to help you navigate adolescence. I think the point is to see your experience reflected, whether it's your current experience or your past experience growing up. And this probably did that in 1982. But maybe what we learn is in between the lines, or maybe what we learn is the subtext, that Damone is an unreliable guide and that he's an unreliable friend. And if you look at Rat's handshake at the end as, all right, I can be a big enough, mature enough person to accept your apology, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to keep you at arm's length. I'm not going to take our friendship without a grain of salt. Like, it can be a cautious acceptance, which is a much more complicated kind of mature message.
So the studio said one of their concerns was that it was too real, that it wasn't the raunchy Porky's style sex comedy that they were hoping for. It was a little bit too close to home, where the kids, I suppose, weren't as cut and dry as the studio executives would have liked. It seemed purposeful in direction and writing to make sure that they had shades and there wasn't the bad bully kid who was pushing Rat around or whatever. But I don't know that the kids had the plan. Story-wise, kids are fumbling and they're bumbling and they're stumbling through this movie. Stuff happens to them and they react usually in a less than ideal fashion. There was only one thing I could see to change the narrative or to put a plan or a thing in place where they could use their intelligence to get around a bad situation in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Can you think what it was?
Is it the climactic mini-mart scene?
Oh, no, I think that was blind luck. I think that was Brad grabbing the coffee in desperation, but Spicoli certainly didn't help. I'll give you a hint. It is the least likely, you would think, person to come up with a brilliant plan.
Is it the Spicoli pizza scene?
No, but you're on the right track. It is Spicoli and Jefferson's stupid brother totally destroying that car.
Oh.
And then pinning it on Lincoln by putting the crushed car and spraying Rydell High's. What is it? Where are they? I forget where they are.
Rydell, hilarious. Ridgemont.
Fast Times at Rydell High. I was like, I should know that name. Why should I know that name? And then Ridgemont sucks and go Lincoln or whatever. Oh, that was genius. And how Spicoli got out of that situation, it was just genius. And really the only thing you can point to where you're like, oh, these characters were smart and they had a good idea and they weren't just bumbling around. Dude, Spicoli, of all people, what did it say? He blew all the money from saving Brooke Shields on Van Halen that's pretty dated.
Apparently, Van Halen was gettable, or at least not that expensive, especially if you can get within the first 10 rows for, what was it, $14?
That's still kind of pricey for 44 years ago, though. I remember for a long time, Pearl Jam held this thing. Like, there's clips of Nirvana being outraged. They're like, who charges $50 for a concert? And they were like, Madonna charges $50? And Pearl Jam held to this line of $18 concert tickets for affordability, and that was in the 90s.
What?
Yeah, it sounds crazy
Concert
now.
tickets? How much are concert tickets today?
Well, it depends.
In 2026.
Obviously. For a reasonable concert, you can pay $60, something like that. Obviously, Taylor Swift or Beyonce or something like that is completely different. But Damone was a scalper, and he was positioned as being the fast-talking, slick kind of kid who felt like he had it all worked out. You know, the cool sunglasses and all the rules and all that stuff. But scalping is not bad now. Nothing has changed. The only difference is that now scalping is commercialized. You have StubHub and you have platinum seating and you have seating that fluctuates, pricing that fluctuates based on demand. I forgot what they called, not inflatable.
Dynamic pricing.
Thank you. Dynamic pricing, where they feel they can charge more on the Ticketmaster website because they think that fans will actually pay it, which for the most part they do.
Ugh. Beyonce for $1,200?
See, $12 for something in the first 10 rows to $1,200 now for Beyonce.
It's bonkers. Anyway, so if there's anything that dated Fast Times at Ridgemont High, it was the ticket prices. But all right, fine.
I don't know, man. There was a lot of stuff that never changed.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from okay to very high. Know your sleep score with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
Do you hear that? Sounds like breakfast is ready. Because Quaker's coming in hot with morning nutrition. 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber to fuel the rhythm of your morning and kickstart your day. And that sounds absolutely delicious. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Let's go! What are you people, on dope?
Spicoli gets off a little easy at the end, don't you think? Is it because Mr. Hand had a soft spot for him? Did he secretly like Spicoli this whole time? Why does he let him off so easy? He doesn't want to see him again next year?
Well, he threatens, but it's not really a threat because he tells him after they have their study session. If there was a movie convention or whatever, or that's simplifying or romanticizing this idea of how difficult it is to be in high school, it was, of all people, that teacher, Mr. Hand, is going to spend hours of his day when he doesn't need to try to get through to Jeff Spicoli. That seemed a little bit far-fetched. And Mr. Hand seemed satisfied, but he wasn't really making up for anything. If you graduate, and he's like, oh, you're going to flunk me? You'll probably scrape by. I thought, if anything, that was the weakest part.
Yeah. Spicoli is arguably the success story of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Not only does he pass, but he also gets to go to the dance. He gets to save Brooke Shields. And even if he blew all of his, I guess, reward money, it's not like he's ruined. He's enjoyed himself and his birthday party.
Yeah.
Who is more successful,
dude,
than Spicoli in
Spicoli
Dakota?
didn't make manager of the My Tea Mart like Brad did. Brad's going places.
He's what is he? A young, successful man?
Yep. It is, in that way, a realistic movie about kids. But still, it feels light compared to the actual movie Kids. Did you ever see Kids?
Oh, that one went really dark.
Yeah, Larry Clark. So maybe that was just the not so fast times at a real high school kind of thing. But you know the story and why we are using Say Anything, despite the fact that he didn't direct it, as our lead-off movie for Cameron Crowe Month?
No, but if he wrote this and it was based on his book, then he must have written his book at a really young age.
Bro was super involved for this movie. He was on set every day, and he graduated high school at the age of 15 By then, he was already writing for Rolling Stone magazine and had a bunch of features. So he thought, oh, I'll write a book. And he succeeded in infiltrating, it might have been his own high school. It was a San Diego area high school. He went back to high school at like 20 or 22 or something and posed as a high school kid and wrote what he saw. What came out of it was Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which is ultra real, but he's not making stuff up for the most part. He's shaping it, polishing it, probably condensing it, probably amalgamating characters, but real stuff is happening, which was a little bit too close to home, but he was all up in it with the kids, doing the kid stuff that parents probably should. Well, they either should see that stuff and be totally on hand, or they need to be Charlie Brown parents and just not part of it, because I don't know if you want in on the troubles that some of these kids are facing.
We had teachers. I don't think we had any parents in Fast Times.
No, we didn't have parents, but we did have wiener adults, although the adults were wieners. Dennis was a wiener at the restaurant who fired him. There was Mr. Hand, the money back guy. That was the guy that got Brad fired. The Captain Hook guy who's like, what are you doing? When he refused to let him.
Show a little respect. Have a little pride.
Oh, man. All the adults were wieners, as is typically the case for a movie like this.
Aren't all of these kids going to become those wiener adults?
Yes, they are. Dude, Sean Penn as Spicoli was method. Judge Reinhold talked about, because they filmed and stuff, and he has the scene at the Mighty Mart, which is maybe one of the last, if not the last scenes that they shot, and it was over, and then Sean Penn dropped Spicoli and was talking to Amy Heckerling about movies and process and stuff, and Judge Reinhold was like, wait a minute, because they all knew he was from Malibu, but he's intelligent and he's well-spoken, and just dropped Spicoli out of nowhere, which Judge Reinhold said blew his mind. But
wow.
Sean Penn talked about running into Spicoli, the dude that he basically, it's not his real name, but he said the guy talked just like that. He was hopeless. He was a stoner. He was a burnout and all this stuff. Never could have amounted to anything, but says he was leaving the beach a few years ago. It's probably 5 years ago now. And this guy said, Sean, hey, Sean, and was kind and well-spoken and was there with his family. And he realized that was the dude that he knew as the Spicoli influencer guy. And the guy had made something of himself or had graduated emotionally to become a reasonable adult. But Amy Heckerling said the same thing, that Sean Penn was a ratty-looking kid who she said was perfect for her Jeff Spicoli. And that other people auditioned after him. They did a wide call, and he wasn't the best one. But she felt that he possessed something, even if performance-wise, he wasn't quite at a Sean Penn level yet.
And was this Sean Penn's debut role?
It was at least his breakthrough role.
Because he was top billing for this.
Man. And yet not the only Oscar winner among the cast.
Is this where you bring up the Nic Cage trivia?
No. There was a guy, his name was Nick Coppola.
Nicholas Coppola.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I didn't realize that until the credits.
I mean, I've seen stills of him long before this discussion and before this viewing. I knew he was in it, obviously, but did you actually see his face in any recognizable way during the movie? Yeah.
No, I didn't, but I did see his name, and Brian was like, maybe it's a different Nicholas Coppola? He wouldn't go by Nicholas. I was like, yes, this is Nick, that's Nic Cage. And then I started scrubbing back, and I was like, what am I doing? This is going to be so much easier on YouTube.
Yeah, he's in the background in the mall. But the screenshot that I saw is fully face in frame and pretty high resolution. So he's on screen at least in such a way that you can recognize him. He's not just a blurry face in the background.
Yeah, that was wild. And also Forrest Whitaker, who we've already talked about but not named.
Yeah, he's the other Oscar winner. So I guess there's more than one.
And then also there was wasn't Judge Reinhold's girlfriend? Isn't she Nightmare on Elm Street?
No. No, you're talking about Tina. Tina. I don't think so. That would be a crazy connection if it were. Maybe it was. Nightmare. Tina. was played by Amanda Weiss. Amanda, you're absolutely right. Lisa played Tina. Man.
Right?
Good callback. Good call.
Wow.
Eric Stoltz was his bud, and Goose was his bud.
Yeah, that was wild. Eric Stoltz from almost Back to the Future fame. And then who else?
And Anthony Edwards, Goose.
Anthony Edwards? No way.
Yep.
Is that your Top Gun Maverick connection?
Anthony Edwards as Goose was in Top Gun Maverick, albeit in flashback.
That's what I'm saying.
Man.
That's what I'm saying.
I guess the point is we all become our parents, but oh man, these kids are easily grandparents by now. The kids in high school in 1982, easily grandparents. Then hopefully, if you survive to adulthood, you have to have something going on, right? If you have a family, or are all those adults, are they just grown-up versions of the dumb kids from Ridgemont High class of 62 or whatever?
Yeah, they are. There's nothing magical about aging in terms of maturity. I think that Judge Reinhold is a naturalistic actor because that's just who he is. Even in the beginning of this movie, when he was like ratting out some people, I was like, dude, was he always a narc? Or does that just make him perfect for his character, his role in Beverly Hills Cop?
Look, Spicoli and his buds took off their shirts because of that sign, in spite of that sign. To spite that sign, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. They came in and then took off their shirts. And he's like, guys, you had shirts on when you came in. Something happened to them, bud. And they were like, he was like pointing to the sign. And they were like, oh, no shirt, no shoes, no dice. But they totally knew it because they were punks. Because kids are punks. Kids, it's all about rebellion. And Brad, unfortunately, was the closest to an adult. Might I add that while he was dumb, pretty darn good big brother, if you ask me. You know, how many times did I save you from abortion clinics without judgment?
He at least had the good sense to look out for his little sister. I always wonder where mom and dad were that time you took me to the emergency room and I was like severely dehydrated.
Yeah, they
and
were
like all sick and stuff. Where were they?
Seriously, it might have been the time when they decided when they couldn't put us on grandma on the way to Vegas or something. It wasn't a big deal. They were only gone for something like 2 days. But you freaked me out, and we got there and they called your name and you like your head started rocking and you like put your head on my shoulder and I was like, dude, come on, we got to go. And you were like out of it. Saved your life, bro.
Yeah. And then they were in Vegas?
Something like that.
Okay, so there weren't any abortion clinic pickups, and I wasn't a bad kid, so I wouldn't have had to have you cover for me. But you were there for me.
But like Brad, he had his foibles too. I definitely stole a lot of money from you.
Yeah, but that's because I had all the money I needed.
Yeah, and then some.
Even then, you were buying too many concert tickets.
I wasn't buying concert tickets at that point. I didn't buy my own concert tickets until I was like 17. I was stealing money.
And when you were 17, I was like 14 or 13 or something.
I think it's a very important entry. It is Cameron Crowe being a kid in an adult world, or at least telling a story from an adult perspective where we see how terrifyingly real some of the adult situations in which these kids find themselves. It's really tough to navigate, especially in the absence of adult supervision or guidance. A lot of real stuff going on. I don't know that we needed or that Amy Heckerling should have fought for Mike Damone Dong. I think we're just fine without it. There is plenty of nudity, and I guess Jennifer Jason Leigh had to have been 18 at that point because she was pretty naked, but maybe real in that if it's going to be a raunchy sex comedy, it needs to be a raunchy, maybe college sex comedy where people feel comfortable that these people are at least of legal age to ruin their own lives.
Yeah, doesn't it feel like child porn if she's 15 and all naked in the pool house?
I don't know. I mean, all these people, these kids are older than I am, and they seemed old and adult when I first watched it. But for whatever reason, Kelly Ray refused to watch this one. She was like, nope, I've seen that. I didn't like it. But I wonder if she's basing that on a viewing experience when she was like 20 or younger. I don't know.
I also wonder about the people who say that Fast Times at Ridgemont High is like the best movie ever.
Dude.
What I'm saying is, in my mid-40s, it is so weird to say that. It's very possible to watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High with a little bit of distance. And by that, I mean a lot of distance. And while it seems authentico, it definitely left me at this stage in my life with a little bit of wondering just why. Like, why? So as a reflection of a time and a period of life, it feels really potent. And maybe in that way it imparts some wisdom or perspective. But in terms of like a film, like how it's structured and stuff like that, it's kind of curious to me. This film couldn't be made today.
National Film Registry, preservation for historic or aesthetic filmmaking. It's in there. And you mentioned Clueless, which is great. I would argue that I was just a little bit too young for this to be the defining movie of my generation, but it certainly was for a lot of people. That was us. We did those crazy dumb things, and in a way kind of like reveling in how dumb you were or how much freedom you had to be dumb as a kid. For us, for me anyway, it was Stand By Me a little bit later. Clueless was later than that. I would also argue that The Sandlot for some people was closer. Then later than that, there was Holes? And like, I don't know. It really sticks for a certain generation, maybe just not quite our generation. That said, I watched this a lot and quoted it kind of a lot in my younger years.
And if Fast Times at Ridgemont High was the beginning, helped to create the filmmaker Cameron Crowe that we know and love today, there wouldn't be a Cameron Crowe Month at orwhatevermovies.com or wherever you get podcasts if there wasn't a Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Right. And we're doing this because Cameron Crowe has recently announced his return to form, and that is the Joni Mitchell biopic that he has in the works.
And that's our discussion on Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Check out Cameron Crowe Month or whatevermovies.com, wherever you get podcasts. 818-835-0473 or whatevermovies@gmail.com. Thanks for listening in.
Aloha, Mr. Hand.
There we go.
Hi, this is Jennifer Izio. Are you ready to create more freedom in your life and your business? Join me and my amazing guest experts on Asked and Answered by Soul, where we discuss life, love, and business and provide you with the answers to those really big questions. Who are you, really? Why are you here? And what does it all mean? Tune in wherever you listen to podcasts, and don't forget to share the magic with a friend.
Hey, I'm DC. I host a radio show on multiple genres. There's rock, there's metal, there is country, and I talk to the artists, and I take those interviews from the radio, and I put them into a podcast, which is called Behind the Rock with DC. Check it out, Behind the Rock with DC, a podcast that brings you a little bit closer to the bands, a little bit closer to the artists. Please subscribe to the podcast today.
Electricast.